The At the Time podcast is back. DeSobe here, excited to be joined by Wong. Well, we've known each other a long time, right? Over 10 plus years at this point.
Over 10.
And I think one of the ways I stay connected to you, even though I don't see you as often as I'd like, is on LinkedIn. And you're pretty active on LinkedIn. Maybe just in general, before we kind of dig into the specifics, how do you approach LinkedIn? How do you use it in your day to day, week to week life?
I was in a school district and then jumped in back into the private sector in business development and partnership development with schools. And I started to use LinkedIn more, to talk about what I do, but also share insights. I was in 14 years in a school system, ranging from school finance policy, what it's like to be an administrator, teacher, central office person. And so I just started posting different thoughts and sharing resources for the public.
And it's going to be evolved now into you post pretty frequently a giant list of jobs. Is that the best way to describe it, or is there something more nuanced than that?
No, that's right. So in California, for especially school districts, executive positions, we're talking superintendent, deputy superintendent, assistant superintendents, and chiefs. I learned there was one main website that people used, but I learned there are a lot of others, and jobs get posted by different school systems in different places. So if you're searching for a job, you would have to go to a lot of
Always,
websites.
yeah. Interesting. And so talk me through the compiling then, because when it started, I imagine it was a little bit easier. What was your initial way to try to put these together? Was it really cut and paste or something else?
Yeah, it's a brute force. So I spend time. I've gotten faster at it. I haven't figured out a way for AI to do it yet, but I go to all the websites. I do different queries, different title names, and I learned in some of the websites, if you do a query, a job might not show up because you didn't do the special
Right.
word that works. So I run all the queries that I can think of and do it for the main website and other websites, compile it in one snazzy document and publish it every Wednesday morning, organized by county in California.
And you're doing this ultimately for the love of the game as a goodwill service, or is there another reason or two?
Yeah, the initial idea was, as I work for different companies, that I'll put a little ad like, "Hey, this is what I do," a little flyer. I was on the board of some nonprofits and advisory boards of nonprofits, so the audience is K-12 educators. So I was like, let me try and let people know about these different nonprofits I support. So that was the idea, but it's become for me, and maybe I'm strange. It's fun. It's like I really enjoy um, producing this document, and now different strangers who I don't know now reach out to me to ask me about some of the positions. Sometimes it's career advice. Sometimes when they're looking for a position and they see an opening at a particular school district,
Hmm.
they'll ask me, "Hey, what do you know? Is this a healthy place? Is this not healthy?" So I've been kind of like a go-to person in talent acquisition, I guess is the phrase, or and without knowing that that's what I've
Oh,
become.
yeah. Because that's what I was going to ask. It feels like you've created a community.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wonder if you remember like the first time you sort of became aware that it actually was a community and that people wanted to talk to you. Does it that ring a bell? Like, was there a specific first time that that happened?
Yeah, so I was posting on LinkedIn and I was like, I don't know if this is a good use of my time because in the beginning it took a lot of time. It took like an hour and a half each week to try and put that all together. Uh, you look at see if anything's happening, and then I almost gave up. But I would go to these education conferences in my job role, and then some stranger I've never met. Hey, you're the LinkedIn jobs guy, and I go, oh, so you've actually looked, and
Somebody is
they're like, yeah,
reading it. Yeah.
I've been following you, and I always joke with them, don't be ashamed to hit that like button.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's described, yeah.
So that's how I said, oh, okay, maybe people are finding a value in this. And then there was a point, maybe about last year, where someone said, hey, again, a stranger,
Okay.
I want to thank you. I found my current job because of you. Like I saw that opening and it wasn't on my mind, but I saw it and then I clicked in and here I am. And so, it's kind of become, for me, it's very fulfilling. I came from a school system. The positions on advertising are very, very challenging positions, high
Mm,
stress, a lot of hours.
sure.
And if I can contribute to the world and help support school systems, it's my way of trying to give back to the world too.
What kind of things have you learned about expanding the reach of a LinkedIn post? So, are there certain hashtags that you feel are tried and true? Are there other tricks? What would you want people to know?
You know, and there's a lot of LinkedIn gurus on LinkedIn, and I have read their things. I try not to do the, one way they say, oh, you got to put something controversial and, piss people off, and then you'll get all the interactions. For me, I want to be true to myself. And it's first, I want to educate the public, the greater LinkedIn community, about the complexities of public education to advocate for it. Uh, Bring a different lens than narratives we might see in the media. Number two, produce content and post things that I think would be useful if I was still in a school system. Articles, resources, workshops, anything that I see to try and make administrators, school administrators, and teachers' lives easier so that they can concentrate on their students. And so I'm trying to stay true to that as a hobby of mine for 20 years. I like reading about ed policy and engaging in K-12 public education thoughts and ideas. And so that's what I'm sticking to. And we'll see if more people follow or, I've built a following in the last 2 years or so. And every so often I'll get another interaction and a new follow.
Yeah. And then you may be doing this unconsciously or consciously, but is there any pattern analysis as you're looking at these jobs? What kind of trends in the ed space are you seeing about what jobs are going up or what jobs are not often very much on the list that you're putting out into
Yes,
the world?
I'd say the turnover in the executive roles, the C-level roles for school districts and charters is increasing. I think the National Superintendents Association just published a study, or it might have been ASA, and the average age of school superintendents is
Oh, I saw you
decreasing.
post this.
And I did a post on that, and it's not because the job is making people younger. It's that people are retiring, first of all, and they're retiring early or they're exiting early. So that causes a shift as superintendents exit earlier, assistant superintendents exit earlier at a principal level. And I was just talking last week to someone who's been in public education in Southern California for 42 years.
Oh, wow.
And she said, there it's just getting much more turnover than what she's seen in her career and younger. So two ways to look at that. That could be great opportunities for educators, teachers who want to serve in a different capacity in administration. At the same time, we've got to find ways for people to be able to continue in the career.
I feel like a lot of educators that I know, and this could be principals, it could be folks who are coaching principals, managing principals, don't necessarily make the intellectual leap that, oh, I should be a superintendent or an associate superintendent somewhere. What advice would you give the folks who are considering doing it or have ever considered it or never have and would want to actually hear what the upside would be to throw in their hat in the ring for something like that?
Yeah, and I am a supporter of educators, teachers, admin. In my career, I was in a lot of roles. I was started as a teacher, and then finance director, or principal, and then chief business officer of a school district. And, I had certain views of those roles before I leapt into them. And what I've learned is every role is important. The C-level positions, the associate superintendents and assistant soups and soups, they are the ones leading very complex organizations, hundreds or thousands of employees, tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars annual budget, and they profoundly impact children. They profoundly impact communities. And we, society, need good leaders who are doing things for the right reasons to support our communities. We need people like that in there, but they need support. It is a very complex role that takes a lot of different skills and people skills and managerial skills and educational understanding. And so school systems need that. And there is a lot of turnover. And so there is opportunity for good leaders to jump into there.
Yeah. I know you started a new job, so I'm not trying to get you into a completely different job, but you've been a principal, you've led district works, union work at a district level. Have you ever thought yourself you'd want to be a superintendent somewhere?
Sometimes, I see, it gives me great joy when educators are thriving because that means the students are thriving and the parents and community members are being served. Um, I, jumped into different careers. I'm outside of direct school support. I'm supporting schools in a different way with a nonprofit now. And so down the line, perhaps, I think if you've ever been to a public school board meeting where people are angry and filling out those cards and just laying into the superintendent and the school board and the other executives, it's not a pleasant place. But that's the public's right. And so sometimes I think about it, and we shall see.
Well, last thing, if folks want to get on the train, see this list, what's the best way for them to be a part of it and to find you?
Find me on LinkedIn, do that follow. I'm at Mr. Will Wong on LinkedIn. I also have networking little Calendly in my description where I welcome anyone to reach out, especially if you are trying to serve students in your organization individually. My experience is knowing the ins and outs, the good, the bad, the ugly of how school systems work. And we need an ecosystem to really support our public schools. And so I'm happy to help anyone out there better understand what school systems are doing.
Yeah, well said. We'll make sure to put all that info in the episode description. Will, thanks for coming on. Thanks for all the talent magnet work you're doing out in the LinkedIn world and beyond. Thanks everyone for listening. You can catch all past episodes, all the places you get your podcast. And don't forget, you can catch us on YouTube in stunning 4K. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, we'll catch you soon.